Coach Bill Conley joins us for a few minutes. We continue the Buckeye conversation. Bill, one of the fun stats Matt had earlier this morning at the basketball game last night, if we'd given Stetson 6 points instead of 2 for each bucket, we still would have been ahead of them at half.
By 12 points.
That's quite a discrepancy there in productivity.
So you feel like that could happen at Penn State? You know, if we just roll, we could be that far ahead of Penn State at the half. I mean, the Buckeyes, you know, most people feel like they're the number one team, or at least in the top two. They've been rolling. They're 19-point favorites. This game for sure is going to be a lot different than the last 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's a team that's Penn State's finding a way to win, except for one loss they had a couple weeks ago. But they're a good football team. They're a good offensive team, good defensive team. But Ohio State, I think, is exceptional. I mean, Joel, we're talking about a team that's breaking all kinds of records. We're at the top of the stats in the Big Ten. We got at the top nationally in several categories. And so, the thing is, we got to play 4 quarters this week, though. We got to come ready to play 4 quarters. Now, maybe we won't have to, kind of like Wisconsin. We thought we were going to have to, but we didn't.
Right. So then, when you look at that, Coach, I mean, are we talking about just, talent for talent, position to position? Ohio State has the better player, so that's what wins? Or is coaching really going to be the decider this week? You're really going to have to mark your X's and O's and make sure our plan is better than their plan.
Now, I think when you get games like this, Penn State, Michigan, you talk about those are players' games. Those are the easiest games, Joel, for a coach during practice that week, because the players are self-motivated and they really push each other. So it's just execution of the game plan. No matter what the game plan is, if you don't execute it. And I think Ohio State at home against Penn State always played them better.
You talk about it being a player's game. A player that Ohio State's going to have back this week is Chase Young. And Bill, from a Penn State perspective, how much of a headache does that cause for them in terms of game planning? How big of a difference when he is in the game, like he has been most of the year, does it make when you're scheming offensively, like Penn State's going to have to do, knowing that Chase is back?
Well, I know one thing for sure. Word is that their 2 offensive tackles had that special help from the sports psychologist to keep it together.
Yes. No mental breakdowns,
the quarterback, he's going to be expecting some lookout blocks. Look out, here he comes. Because, Chase Young is exceptional. We've seen other teams try to stop him. They've tried to double team him, help with running backs, help with tight ends. But he's something you got to plan for. And it's tougher to put a game plan together when you've got to not only stop the other team, but really make special plans that stop one athlete. Makes it tough.
Offensively for Ohio State, Penn State's got a very good defense, but it's interesting. The last couple of weeks, teams have thrown on them. Minnesota beat them. Tanner Morgan had a really good game. Indiana was right there with them. Peyton Ramsey threw for over 300 yards. I'm interested, Bill, game planning-wise. Ohio State's been a run-first team, but how much do you look at the way Penn State seems to be a little more vulnerable through the pass?
Yeah, absolutely. We're first in the Big Ten in pass defense. They're 12th. They're right toward the bottom. I think that's where the youth really shows. So the one thing I expect from Penn State, though, they're going to really come after us because they know that. I mean, they're no dummies. They know that they can't hold up in pass coverage, so you got to find some way of making plays. So really expect some blitzing. And expect them offensively to try to control the football with screen passes and things like that, because they can't give us the ball, a high-powered offense like we are.
Yeah, now, and tell me, and we're talking to Bill Conley, former coach with Ohio State. Tell me this, Bill, because it's one of those things I find myself during almost every game all year, I will catch myself and go, oh, my, just got to protect Justin Fields. If they're going to come at us, if the defense is coming at us, will there be any extra emphasis on just making sure that Justin Fields gets out of this game healthy so we got him for next week and the weeks after?
Well, I think the coaching staff will talk to Justin. Hey, don't take any unreasonable hits if you can't. But you can't also slow down the mojo. He's a guy that can, hurt the team. He scored running the football and throwing the football. He scored 10 touchdowns rushing the football. Now, their quarterback can run the ball too, but Justin Fields is such a natural talent. He's a guy that only is a freshman chronologically. This guy, I tell you what, he can shows poise, great under pressure, makes great decisions, throws it to the open guy, spreads the ball out. and knows when to put it away and run the ball too. He's only thrown one interception compared to Clifford's 6.
You know, one of the great things about a week like this, Bill, is the excitement and the build-up. There's nothing like a big game in Ohio Stadium, and the stakes are so high and everything. I'm just wondering, though, is it a double-edged sword when you're a coach preparing a team for a game like this? Like, there are 3 national pregame shows. Urban's show with Fox, ESPN, Big Ten Network. They're all going to be asking for interviews during the week and everything. From a coaching standpoint, Ryan Day standpoint, the assistant coaches, do you have to talk to the team about managing that stuff, not getting caught up in the hype? How do you handle it, getting them ready for the excitement of a big game with the distractions that are involved?
Yeah, you really got to control, the way that it has handled by as we know from Jerry and the SID department, they will have very limited number of interviews and things like that because it's task in hand. Once you get the game plan put together, the coaches can talk to media more and stuff like that. But I mean, during the first few days of practice this week, it's a shutdown mode. It's concentration. It's working on all those things that they think they have to do to win the game. So you can't worry about those other things. But you know what? It's nice to be the place where they care.
That's true. No doubt about it. Shutdown mode. That's what I hear. Shutdown mode's where we are right now. So, Bill, we're going to shut you down for the moment, but we'll listen for more conversation as we roll. Penn State Week, more Buckeye content right here on News Radio 610 WTVL.